Are you planning a road trip through the South Island of New Zealand, but feeling totally confused about how to actually connect all those amazing spots like Kaikoura, Mount Cook, Franz Joseph, Queenstown and Milford Sound? In this video, I'll show you 5 recommended travel route options that will link the remote South Island's west coast with the scenic east coast, tailored for 10 to 14 days. Plus, you get my local advice as a travel designer with free PDF sample itineraries to download and access to my ChatGPT travel system. Ready? Let's get started. First up, let's get this straight. The South Island is over 840 kilometers long. That's 525 miles. From Picton in the north of the South Island to Milford Sound in the south, it's about 1,100 kilometers or 685 miles. That's about 13.5 hours drive on the Google map. But as usually with Google Maps, you have to add 10 to 15% to make this timing right, because New Zealand's roads are twisty, slow and full of photo stops. And here's the kicker: the Southern Alps slice through the island like a spine, so there are only a handful of roads crossing from the east coast to the west. That's Lewis Pass, Athos Pass, Lindy's Pass and Haas Pass, plus the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 in the Nelson Tasman region. These passes are not high, all between 600 and 1,000 meters, but they are still an obstacle. Now to the route options. I'm going to show you 5 real-world travel-tested routes based on different interests, logistics and time frames. 2 of them will include the Transalpine train journey, which is such a classic experience in the South Island. I'll go quickly through each options with pros and cons, highlights and experiences, so stay tuned until the end and I'll provide you with my favorite travel route. So here's the first route. It's 9 nights or 10 days. You would have 1 night in Christchurch, 2 nights in the Mount Cook region, you would have 2 nights in 𝗂𝗏𝗹𝗃, you would have 2 nights in Wanaka or Queenstown if you like to do that, and you would have 1 night in Franz Joseph, and then head back with a train from Greymouth in the afternoon back to Christchurch. So let's have a quick look through each individual location. So again, you would arrive in Christchurch here. So my recommendation is to go through the inland scenic route instead of the State Highway 1. It's much more scenic, and you would travel around about 4 hours into the Lake 𝗥𝗏𝗃𝗀 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗃 area. 𝗧𝗏𝗃 is here, and you can use 𝗧𝗏𝗃 especially or Lake 𝗥𝗏𝗃𝗀, the village of Lake 𝗥𝗏𝗃, as your base to explore Mount Cook National Park here on your full day. That's the advantage with having 2 nights. You have 1 full day. Then you would continue south. I suggest to make a longer drive. So if you base yourself in 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗃 and you head over to 𝗂𝗏𝗃 in the Fiordland National Park, the gateway to the Fiordland National Park, you're looking at about 5 to 6 hours drive. You can stop along the way, but it makes much more sense to do that, because then you have obviously 1 full day to go into Milford Sound, which is located a good 2 hours drive from 𝗂𝗏𝗃𝗃. Again, I've done more videos on that part of New Zealand. You can check in the playlist in the description box below. After 𝗂𝗏𝗃𝗃, my suggestion is to go either to Queenstown, which is here, it's a good hour's drive, or even better to Wanaka. Again, I've done a few videos on that topic. There's a little bit village here, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, which is my favorite down here. That's an option too. But in this video, we'll want to keep it nice and short, because there's so much to talk about. If you want to have a more detailed video on those 5 different routes, please let me know and I'm happy to do that. So the next day you have 2 nights, Wanaka or Queenstown. The next day you would head over to the west coast, over the Haas Pass, and then to Franz Joseph, have 1 night there, and then continue further north in the morning and connect with a train trip back to Christchurch, and you have to spend your last night because you will arrive around about 6, 7 o'clock. So that's route number 1. So here we have route number 2, which is actually very similar to route number 1. The only difference is here you would have 12 days or 11 nights. My suggestion is, if you want to head up to 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃, you could do that actually as a day trip, so to see the whales and do dolphin swim, etc. But what you would do, you would stay 2 nights in Christchurch here. That would make it, more practical in a way than actually traveling up north and going back to. The other option is here to go to the Banks Peninsula, to 𝗥𝗃𝗃𝗃, which is a lovely spot. It's only about 1.5 hours away from Christchurch, and it's famous for the scenery, of course. It's an extinct volcano, as well as for dolphin swim and boat tours right out into the harbor, into the Pacific Ocean. So that's route number 2. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below to stay in touch for more helpful travel videos to come. Plus, put any comments or questions into the box below. I'm happy to help. So route number 3 is a bit of a different one. You would fly into Dunedin, so you could do the North Island and take a domestic flight, which I often recommend to cover larger distances. So Dunedin is famous for the albatross colony, for the yellow-white penguin, and especially for the Otago Peninsula, which is full of little goodies. So you would have 2 nights in Dunedin, so you have time to explore the peninsula. Then I would suggest to travel over to the Fiordland region, again 2 nights in 𝗬𝗏𝗃. In this instance, I always seem to recommend going through the Southern Scenic Route here. This is a beautiful drive, a real heartland New Zealand. So 2 nights there, and again you would do Milford Sound. Overall, this itinerary would be 14 days, so it's a little bit longer with 13 nights. Then you could head over to Queenstown or to Wanaka, or as I mentioned in between is the village of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. You would have 3 nights here. Then again, you're heading over to the west coast, and my suggestion is to have another night here in Franz Josef. You could easily extend it if you want, but then heading further north to Punaikaiki, the Pancake Rocks, another night, and then you go right to the top of the South Island to the 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗏 National Park. Again, I would recommend at least 2 nights here because it's such a beautiful area. You can go hiking, you can do wine tasting, there's a lot of foodie places, there's bicycling, cycle trails, and then you would head back to the eastern side to 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. Again, you could stay now here for 2 nights and then basically drive back to Christchurch. It's only about 2.5 hours drive, and you can depart with your international flights, or you can head back to Auckland and connect with your international flight. So that is route number 3. So here's route number 4. This time you actually would start in Picton. So this is a good one if you're traveling with a camper van, motorhome, or if you pass over the ferry from the North Island into the South Island through Picton. So this itinerary is 12 days or 11 nights. So you would head down to 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, have a couple of nights there, do the whale watch and dolphin swim, etc. Then you would head over to Punaikaiki and you cross through Lewis Pass here. So this is Lewis Pass. It's a bit of a longer drive, but it's very scenic. There's some really cool walks around. You can stop here. It's a classic transition between the East Coast. Here we have the Southern Alps, and then you head over to the West Coast, which is a totally different scenery. Have a night in Punaikaiki. You could also actually head over Cape Foulwind. This is a good one. This is a seal colony. Depends a little bit how much time you have. So then Punaikaiki, then again traveling south to Franz Josef, have a night there, and then go to Wanaka, 2 nights as usually. If you can, 3 nights is perfect, and you would pass through Queenstown and head into 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. Again, 2 nights to discover either Milford Sound, which is up here, or 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃, which is down here. Again, with these locations, you could easily spend another night, so 3 nights would be perfect, but it just depends on your time budget. Then you would, from Tirana, you would travel back to Queenstown Airport. It's only a good 2 hours drive, and then you fly out either to Australia or back to Auckland or back to Christchurch. To help you with your travel planning, you can download our free PDF South Island travel planning sheet, or you can use our ChatGPT travel system, which is based on my year-long experience with quality accommodation, tours, sites, transport recommendations. Try it out. You will be amazed at the ease of use as well as on the results you'll get. This is route option number 5, which is actually my favorite one. This is 14 days or 13 nights. So you would start in Christchurch, and then you would head over first with the Transalpine train to Greymouth. The train is departing about 8:30 in the morning, and you would arrive around about 1:30 in Greymouth. Then I would suggest you going up here and stay in the area for 2 nights, because what you can do is to explore. There's this beautiful Paparoa National Park right here, as well as mentioned before, you have Cape Foulwind, which is this little spot here. It's a gorgeous little place. It's a beautiful coastal walk, so it's well worth it. There's Charleston in between. Oh, look at these ducks. Charleston is famous for the caves, for the glowworm caves, etc. So this is a cool spot to have a couple of nights. Then head further down south again. Have a night in Franz Josef. Again, I've done videos on that route in more detail, but it's you could easily spend another night if you want. It all depends on your timing. Then again, going through Haast Pass, going through to Wanaka, either 2 nights Wanaka or 2 nights in Queenstown. By this time you probably gathered that my favorite is either Wanaka or Cromwell here, that little place. It's gorgeous. So, and then again you continue to Tirana, 2 nights in Tirana, Milford Sound or 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 Sound, whatever you want to do. Then again, my suggestion is not to go directly to Dunedin, but actually do that southern loop here, the southern route. Have a stop in 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗃𝗪, which is a classic New Zealand city. It's actually about 50,000 people, but it's a cool place to check out. Then, as we mentioned before, Dunedin with the albatross, with the penguins, with the Otago Peninsula is very Scottish, so a bit of history, a bit of, there's a castle as well. So again, I've done a full video on that as well. You can check out in my playlist. And then continue up north, the Meraki boulders here, Oamaru. It's so much to see, the Mount Cook region. Have another couple of nights. You could either stay in 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗏, which is a good base in a way. It's a smaller village, so limited accommodation. The same for Mount Cook village. It's tiny, really. You would need to book accommodation ahead for this region in the peak summer, like for most regions really. And Lake Tekapo, that's another option for you to stay 2 nights and to explore the Mount Cook National Park with many walks. I've done a video on that topic alone, so check it out. And then you basically head back to Christchurch, and that would be a really cool 2 weeks loop for the South Island, and you would have seen quite a lot. So overall, how do you choose your best travel route? Here's a checklist on key questions to ask yourself. What are your must-see places, and what key experiences do you want to do? How much time do you have available? Are you okay with 1-night stays, or do you want to travel in a more relaxed pace? My golden rule is stay 2 nights minimum at key locations if you can. Do you intend to travel with a rental car or a motorhome? So let's quickly break down the different travel modes. Rental car, the most flexible way, best value, especially if you're traveling between 2 to 4 people. Camper van and motorhome, great for freedom, but you'll travel at a slower pace, and therefore you need to plan your trip differently than with a car. The trains are stunning but limited to a few routes and usually only run once a day. Domestic flights are perfect for skipping big drives and save time. Handy tip: book early for the best fare deals. If you're short on time, combine a rental car with one-way flights, especially if you're traveling both islands, the North and the South Island. If you want me to make more separate detailed videos on each of the 5 South Island route options, please put the comments into the box below and I'll happy to do that if there's demand. For more sample travel itineraries, see this playlist up here. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video.